Welcome back to Anatomy and Physiology on Catalyst University. In this video, we're going to discuss the basic mechanism of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So hypertrophic cardiomyopathy can actually manifest in a couple of different ways. And one of them, there's a more genetic cause, and then it can also be caused really by poor lifestyle choices over time. Either way, it leads to a thickening of the heart wall itself, and that causes problems. Okay, and we're going to talk about those briefly in this video. When we're talking about congenital hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, this is actually the leading cause of sudden cardiac death in sports. If we actually look at younger individuals, that's where it's most common, they may have an enlarged heart and not even know it, and they just drop dead. Their heart just gives out on them and they can't go anymore. Okay, they're just dead. Okay? And the reason for that is because they had a thickening of the heart wall, as you see right here. That was just a genetic factor that did that. It's very unfortunate, and there's really not a lot that can be done about that. But that's the most common cause of sudden cardiac death in sports. However, in this video, I'm really just going to be focusing on the poor lifestyle choices that lead to the development of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Okay? And to do that, let's take a look at the left ventricle right here. Okay, this is obviously not a ventricle, but it's representative of one. And so the thickness of this wall right here represents the thickness of the wall of the left ventricle, which remember is composed of cardiac muscle. Notice here we have sarcomeres in series, so this one right here is in series with the one over here. Okay? And we have sarcomeres in parallel, so this sarcomere is in parallel with this one right there. Now, what can happen is if you live a very poor lifestyle, okay, then you can actually develop what's called a high afterload. So afterload really describes the pressure that the heart has to pump against in order to pump blood through the aorta. In other words, if you have hypertension, if you have high blood pressure, if your aorta has stenosis, aortic stenosis, which is a thinning of the aorta, anything like that, or decreased compliance in the aorta, so it can't actually give very much when you pump blood out of it, then you're going to have a high afterload. Okay? That makes it harder for the left ventricle to pump blood out. So think about this, just like skeletal muscle. If you are constantly lifting a heavy weight, what's the natural adaptation to that? Your muscles get stronger, and that probably also means they're going to get bigger. If you go to the gym every single week and you're lifting heavy weights, if you monitor your progress over the course of a year, after the year's over, you're probably going to be lifting heavier weights than when you started the year prior, right? What's also going to happen to the size of your muscles? Hypertrophy. It's a natural adaptation when you have to consistently operate against a heavier load or against more force. And in the case of the gym, the more force is a heavier weight that you're lifting. Okay? Your muscles get bigger as compensation. That's really what it is. Cardiac muscle is no different. If you're having to pump against a high afterload all the time, and let's be honest, our hearts are always pumping, the natural response is if you're pumping against more force or more pressure, as in high blood pressure, high afterload, then the walls of your heart should thicken, right? They should hypertrophy in order to be able to produce more force. And that's exactly what happens. You can see here, if you've got elevated blood pressure, elevated afterload, then you can actually develop hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And so what you see here in this picture on the top left, on the left you see a normal thickness of the left ventricle. But for some reason, this heart is having to pump against a high afterload. It could be high arterial blood pressure, it could be aortic stenosis, stiffness of the aorta, it could be a number of factors. So the natural compensation for pumping against more force or against more pressure is for the ventricle to be able to generate more force, and the way it does that is hypertrophy. There's a problem, however, with this. When the cause of this hypertrophy is due to pumping against a high afterload, the tendency is for sarcomeres to be added in parallel. Notice we haven't added them in series. They're being added parallel to one another. That's what we call concentric hypertrophy. That's the bad kind of hypertrophy of the heart. Now, if we add sarcomeres in parallel in your skeletal muscles, you'd be saying that's a great thing. It is. I would love to have more sarcomeres added in parallel in all the muscles of my body, that is skeletal muscles. However, in cardiac muscle, it is bad. Okay? You have to have some in parallel, but if you start consistently adding more and more and more in parallel, you're going to get something that looks like this. And the reason this is bad is because the way that the sarcomeres are added in parallel is they're added actually toward the center of the ventricle. If they were added away from the ventricle, it wouldn't be very bad. But by hypertrophying inwards, you actually reduce the volume in the ventricle. Right? There's less space in the ventricle because now it's being occupied by muscle tissue. Okay? What do you think that does? Well, you're going to have poor diastole. Remember, diastole is filling of the heart. If there's less space in here for blood to exist in, you're going to have less filling. You're going to have a lower end diastolic volume. You're going to have a lower cardiac output. You can see here, decreased filling of the ventricles, decreased cardiac output. That means you're not getting blood as well perfused to all the tissues of your body. To me, that sounds like a bad thing. Okay? When you have a low cardiac output of blood going to your periphery, to your other muscles, to your brain, to your coronary arteries, to all of your visceral organs, you're going to have problems. And those problems are going to cause compensatory mechanisms. For example, vasopressin release, more cardiac hypertrophy, activation of the sympathetic nervous system and activation of the RAS system, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. I don't know about you, but if I look at this one, RAS, sympathetic nervous system, vasopressin, I'm seeing basically vasoconstriction. I'm seeing just general things associated with the sympathetic nervous system. You're going to have a higher heart rate to compensate for the lower cardiac output, because your stroke volume is going to be low. That's what's causing the drop in cardiac output. So to get it as high as possible, your heart rate's going to go up. If your heart rate is really high chronically, that's a lot of work on the heart. That's a lot of work. Not only is it having to contract a lot of muscle here, this is much harder to contract than the normal case because there's a lot more muscle. It's going to eat up a lot more oxygen. It's going to eat up a lot more ATP. That's more work on the heart. Then it also has to beat faster. Not only is there more muscle, it has to beat faster to compensate for the drop in stroke volume and drop in cardiac output. Vasopressin is a vasoconstrictor. Angiotensin 2 is a vasoconstrictor. Aldosterone is not a vasoconstrictor, but it will cause an increase in blood volume, further increasing blood pressure, further increasing afterload, and this is just a vicious cycle where unless it's fixed, you'll just keep perpetuating this and get a thicker and thicker heart until finally your heart goes into arrest and you die. So again, this is a very, very bad thing whenever you're pumping against a high afterload all the time, but it works the same way as skeletal muscle. If you go to the gym consistently and you lift heavy, heavy weights, your muscles will grow. They will compensate as an adaptation to be able to lift more weights. How do you get your muscles to drop in size, to atrophy? That's not normally a good thing. Stop going to the gym. Start being a couch potato slob, and your muscles, I guarantee, will drop in size. So the only way to fix this issue, it's mostly irreversible, but you can keep it from progressing further by getting rid of the high afterload. How do you do that? Change your lifestyle. Start eating well, start exercising, lose some weight, and also stop smoking, stop drinking, all of that stuff. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention here, because it's often confused with an enlarged heart, is eccentric hypertrophy. This is not cardiomyopathy, because by definition, cardiomyopathy is a pathology. That's where the pathy comes from. This is a pathology. You can have hypertrophy of the heart in a good way. This is eccentric hypertrophy. And the difference here is that the sarcomeres are added in series. And the major way you get eccentric hypertrophy is really aerobic exercise. So I would actually expect somebody who does a lot of marathon running, endurance training, that's certainly not me, but they would have more of a heart that looks like this, that is the left ventricle. And so when you add sarcomeres in series like this, you'll notice that the overall thickness of the heart doesn't really change, but it actually enlarges to encompass a larger volume. Notice here the volume that can be contained in there is actually larger than it was in the normal case. So I might see something like this in a person who is well trained in aerobic and endurance activities. And this again is also an adaptation to be able to, for the heart to occupy more blood. So you can pump more blood with each beat, a higher stroke volume. The heart rate will drop as a result because the heart rate doesn't need to be as high to maintain an appropriate cardiac output. If you increase stroke volume, heart rate will decrease. Okay? In this case up here, you drop stroke volume, heart rate will increase. Okay? So they're usually going to be inverse with each other relative to the cardiac output. And so here you can occupy more blood as a compensatory mechanism. But also remember, when you add sarcomeres in series, that tends to mean more contractile capacity. So not only is there more space here in the left ventricle, but also by adding the sarcomeres in series, now this muscle has a greater degree to contract. Okay? It's going to be more efficient at contraction. And that's good for a healthy cardiovascular system. So again, the gist here is that if you have a poor lifestyle, and there's a number of factors that contribute, you end up with high blood pressure, high afterload, and when your heart has to continually pump against that high afterload, your left ventricle and right, but especially left in particular, will hypertrophy in a concentric manner as a compensatory mechanism in order to generate more force. Remember from the previous video, sarcomeres added in parallel have more force generation. Sarcomeres added in series have more contraction efficiency, a greater contraction capacity. Okay? It's more efficient to have eccentric hypertrophy, which is what we'd see in an endurance athlete, versus concentric hypertrophy either in a congenital cardiomyopathy or an enlarged heart that's pathological. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for future videos and notifications. Thank you.